Hello everyone, this is Daeun. For this week's courseware evaluation, I reviewed Rocket Languages. This table is a summary of this language learning tool, and I will start with the prototype. So Rocket Languages is an app-based language learning tool, and it provides various languages such as Spanish, French, Chinese, Korean, Portuguese, American Sign Language, etc., etc. For some languages like Spanish, the app provides 3 levels for language learning: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. But for other languages like Korean, it only provides 2 levels: beginner and intermediate. For each language learning course has 3 activities, which are interactive audio lessons, language and culture lessons, and writing lessons. And in terms of their instructional scopes and types, they are very similar, and I'm going to talk about them a little bit more later in this video. Since the Rocket Languages is an app-based, it operates both on iOS and Android, and Google Speech Recognition is adapted as the app's supplementary software to give learners opportunity to practice their pronunciation. About the price, learners can pay depending on the levels of courses they want to take. So if the learners want to take only beginner level courses, the lifetime access to those is $60. And if the learners want to take all 3 levels of courses, it will be $180 for the lifetime access. And learners also can pay for payment plan, and it is $10 per month for 6 months. About operational description of the app. So learners can interact with Rocket Languages via typing, choosing among multiple choices, and recording their own voices. And Google Now, which is a voice recognition software, is used for input judging. And when I tried to record my voice, I intentionally distorted intonations of certain words and expressions, and the software recognized those as correct answers. And I also replaced some vowel and consonant sounds with similar yet distinguishable sounds, and the software also recognized those as accurate answers. So I would say the software seems to be more or less accurate, but it still has a lot of room for improvement. About the feedback, the app provides explicit feedback, but it is not personalized, so learners will not have extra information about why the choices they made is wrong or right. Okay, about the instructional scopes and types of the activities that I mentioned previously. So all those 3 activities, the linguistic focus is Lexis, and they're designed to develop listening, speaking, and writing abilities. And they are heavily relied on translating method, meaning that many activities asking learners to translate this particular expression from English to Korean or from Korean to English. About the cultural focus of activities, because I only have an access to first week of the course because of the limitation of free trial, all the cultural lessons are focusing on politeness and formality in Korean language use. And my guess is that first, Korean language compared to English has many and various politeness markers and formality markers. So the app might want to illuminate that aspects of Korean language from the very beginning of the course. And my second guess is that compared to English-speaking cultures, Korean cultures are more sensitive about the level of politeness and then formality in conversation. So it might be the second factor why this app is the culture sections of this app focus heavily on politeness and formality of Korean culture and Korean language. Okay. About the instructional types of 3 activities, they are all relying on audiolingual method. So learners listen to certain words, expressions, or grammatical structures, and then repeat those over and over. And this app trying to patternize those words, expressions, and grammatical structures in terms of certain pragmatic situations that learners would encounter in the future. Okay, so before we go to teacher fit and learner fit, I will actually demonstrate the app and show you its structure and then its activities. So this is the default page of the app, and as you can see, there are multiple modules, and then the last module is survival kit and review of those 7 modules. And if you take a look at the module 1, so those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lessons are part of interactive video activity, and in terms of language and culture lessons, there are 5 different lessons about the Korean language and Korean culture. And writing lessons, it has 4 different sub-activities to teach how to write individual Korean characters. So if I go to the very first one, it consists of 20 to 40 minute audio tracks that you can stream and download, and it provides you new vocabulary, words, expressions, and grammatical structures, and what they mean, and also some of the cultural aspects related to those new expressions and vocabularies. And there are sub activities called play it, meaning that like based on the modal dialogue given in the previous audio clip, you can actually participate as an interlocutor. So you can play as Daeun or Sujung, and you can listen to this expression and then record your own voice. And there's a Korean flag, and if you want to learn extra vocabularies here too, you can listen to the actual vocabulary or expressions and then also record them to practice your pronunciation. And there are facilitative functions within this activity, such as flashcards. So it's very similar to Quizlet. So you can flip
잘 지내셨어요?
and then move on. You can
안녕하세요.
memorize and practice new expressions this way. And here it's the same thing.
아, 예.
You listen to new expression and then record your own voice to practice your pronunciation, as well as learning new expressions and vocabularies. And know it, this one too. I am Daeun Kim, and then you're translating the given English expression into Korean, and then you should record your voice in order to answer and interact with the activity. and you can also take a quiz. So that's like multiple choices, and yeah, it's mostly multiple choices. And for the language culture part, it's very similar, but the information is given in written modes, and the instruction type is same in culture writing part as well. So all the information is given mostly in written text, through written text, and then you can listen to individual letters and names and sound. And here, because Korean letters also require certain order of strokes, so you can play the video to actually see the order of stroke order of each letter. Okay. So that was a little demonstration of the app. So let's go back to Teacher Fit and Learner Fit. So about the content of the app, it consists of very practical content and situation, like how to greet in Korean, how to introduce yourself in Korean, and survival phrases, something like, oh, I cannot speak Korean very well, and like, how much is this, or where's the bathroom, etc., etc. Since the app is heavily relying on oral and written modes, I guess learners with like listening and learners who like to read information would be a good fit compared to learners who like to speak or write their ideas down. And the app has some sort of competition component, so it records learners' daily learning streaks, and also it provides like rocket points, so every time learners have higher score on quiz or complete the lesson, the app gives rocket points to the learners, so learners can compare their points with other learners. So it might be motivating for some types of learners. About the cultures of use, Rocket Languages is a typical language learning app. So if the learners are familiar with that type of repetitive and drill type of language learning apps, it won't be difficult for them to learn and use Rocket Languages. And the app seems to be better for beginner level to practice basic grammar structures and build vocabulary in order to expand their communicative repertoire. And because of the same reason, I think the app is better as extramural learning, so that learners can take as much as time for them to practice these new linguistic forms, and then teachers can effectively utilize class time for more communicative purpose language learning and communicative activities. So, in order to kind of summarize my review of Rocket Languages, this app is beneficial because of its intuitive structure, because it provides abundant vocabulary and grammar exercises, and because it provides pragmatic situations and subsequent expressions and vocabulary words that learners can use, and because it tracks learner progress. But Rocket Languages has its downfalls because it can be drill and kill, and some learners might find it boring, and because it does not provide contextualized and personalized feedback, and because it has limited affordances for autonomous learning. So I haven't explained it well when I demonstrate the app, but it does not provide learners for fast forward or slow down so that they can actually adjust the learning and listening speed. And also, it does not provide learners to listen to their own voice recordings, which is important to compare their pronunciation with model pronunciation.